Hey everybody, this is Kelsey and this is Essentially Booked. Thank you for stopping by my channel, and we are going to do a February reading wrap up. I had a fairly great reading month in February and I feel like that's normal. I tend to do well in February every year. I don't know why. It's a shorter month. Maybe it's cold and I don't know. Maybe it's just cold, so I feel like being cozy and reading. I still don't think I'm focused a lot. Like, I do a lot of doom scrolling. I am distracted by social media a lot, so I'm really trying to be intentional and just get better at that. I think it's harder to read now that I have a 5-year-old. Like, you know, just parenting, keeping humans alive takes away from reading time. Who would have thought? I feel like I'm kind of in a groove now, so I'm getting better. 9 books is really good for me in a month, considering the reading year that I had last year and this year. But yeah, we will get started. We will go through my books. Gus might join us. He's my buddy. So we will go through all the books that I read in February with the help of Gusser. All right, the very first book I read was Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicarelli, and this is a duology. I'm reading book 2 right now about witch hunters versus witches. The main character, Rune, is a witch, and she is trying to save other witches from the witch hunters. It's kind of like a political, like, government versus witches. Both parties possibly misunderstand each other. It's YA, but I really enjoyed this a lot. It was a very fast read. There's not a ton of world building, so if you are someone who struggles with fantasy because of the world building, I would definitely recommend this because it wasn't hard to sink into. I gave Heartless Hunter 3 stars. I would say it's closer to like a 3.5, but I will be talking about this in more detail in my TBR 52 Book Club challenge. Next, I read Let's Make a Scene by Laura Wood. This was a romance book on audio about 2 actors who worked together in the past and kind of had feelings for each other. Something happened. Moving forward to the present, they're working together again. I listened to this on audio. It was super fun. It was a really good audio recording. The male main character was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. I picked it, like, I just went through my Libro FM and like did a random scroll, and wherever my finger landed, that was going to be my next audiobook, and that's what happened. So it was kind of just a fun romance, palate cleanser, good for February. I think I finished it on February 9th, and so I gave that 4 stars for a romance book. That's pretty good for me. And then next, I got one of my oldest book of the month books. Actually, this is the oldest book of the month book that I have on my shelf, off my shelf, also for TBR 52 Book Club Challenge. Before the Fall by Noah Hawley. This was from June of 2016. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because, again, I talk about this in a different video. I gave this 3 stars. It is about a plane crash. And then you figure out like all the people involved in the plane crash and maybe how their stories led to the plane crash. So most of the book is not actually about the plane crash. I'm not a great flyer, so for me to read this, that just says something. I did really like this, and I'm super excited that I got a book of the month book that's super old off my shelf. Actually, this month I got 2 book of the month books off my shelf. And then the next book I listened to was Mutual Aid, Building Solidarity During This Crisis by Dean Spade. I gave this 5 stars. I listened to it on audio because it was a free book from Libro FM. If you guys listen to audiobooks and aren't on Libro FM, I would encourage you to switch if you have the financial means. Libro FM is the same price as the other subscription. And this isn't really like, I have a link. I'm not sponsored by them. It's an affiliate link. So if you were to use my link, I would get a kickback, but I'd get a credit for a book. But I'm not like sponsored by them per se. So I just really like Libro because every once in a while they do promotions or they give away free books. This was a free book because it's about mutual aid and how we support our community. And with Minneapolis, this was released amidst all the turmoil where ICE was attacking Minneapolis. And it was just a really good book. The first half is more about like ways you can help your community and how mutual aid works. And then the back half of the book is more if you are a mutual aid organization, how to structure your meetings, what mutual aid as like a structure looks like, because it's not really a structure, it's community care. And the very point of it is to not be bureaucratic and include everybody. And it was interesting and helpful for me as I work in a couple different spaces to advocate, or like because I'm working on volunteering with a couple organizations. And so just having some perspective that I think would contribute to being helpful and providing care for my community. So I really liked it. It was like a 4-hour audiobook, and I listened to it on 1.5 speed because I thought the narrator was slow. So I finished it in like a little over 2 hours. That is something that's up your alley. I definitely recommend it. It was on Libro FM, but I think you can get a hard copy too, and it's not very long. But yeah, 5 stars for that. It was good. And then the next book I read was The Future Saints by Ashley Winstead. And I liked it. I gave it like 3.75 stars. It's kind of a romance, but I would say it's just more general fiction. It's about a band and the main character's name is Hannah, and they're about to make it big, but then their manager passes away, who's Hannah's sister. And in the grief, they kind of fall apart, and the record label sends Theo to them to like fix them. And it's either fix or you guys lose your contract. You have to pay back your advance, whatever. So as they are grieving, their career takes off again through their grief. It's a grief novel, which always works for me, and with a little romance. But I don't know, this was just it was a surprising book to me. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't the Ashley Winstead I was expecting, because I think I've read her romance books, but I've never read her thrillers. So I don't know what it just was a refreshing book, and it was hard to read, but it was really good. If you like Daisy Jones and the Six, final revival of Opal and Nev, like I would say read that. It kind of is different, but the same. It was good. And then my book club this month picked The Small and the Mighty, 12 Unsung Americans Who Changed the Course of History by Sharon McMahon. If you are a governor or follow her on social media at all, this is a really fun audiobook. She talks about 12 people who've changed the world. And she talks about things that we don't really necessarily learn in history class. There's a lot of discussions in the book about like Japanese internment, women's suffrage, rights of enslaved people. It was really good. They talk about how Sears Roebuck, being Jewish, like how they use their positions for power and change, building of schools. It was a really enjoyable book. I really liked it on audio. I think it's a fun way to digest history if that's something you're interested in, because it's very storytelling. It's not like a historical, like boring novel. It's told in a very engaging story. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm super glad I finally read it. I was actually kind of not that excited for her book when she announced it, because I was like, oh, like, okay. I was kind of hoping it'd be more like Constitution 101 or something. But this was in the Sharon McMahon way, so lovely and so good, and just her voice. If you like her at all, you will like this book, I think. And then I have a goal this year to read my subscription books like the month after I get them. So Dog-Eared Books is the only subscription I'm doing this year, but Crux was the very first book. This was January's pick. I completed it in February. This is about two friends who rock climb. It is very literary. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I really struggled with one of the main characters. She is free-spirited, has no filter, a mess, but at the same time, her life circumstances are terrible, and she steps up when needed to help her family. And I respect that about her, but it was just her actual voice, not the voice of the author, but her voice when she was talking and how she talked. The other character I liked, but this is about 2 kids who do legit rock climbing and do it dangerously because they're poor. They don't have the supplies to be safe. And their goal is to get out of this small town and become climbers. So they climb rocks they shouldn't be climbing, mountains they shouldn't be climbing without equipment to get out of their town. But of course, family situations come into play that they both have to step up for and decide, do I want to stay put or do I want to go, leaving everything I know behind? I understand why this was picked. I really get it. I didn't love it. It just, I don't know. It was a very slow read too. And I usually like quiet, character-driven novels, but this one was just fine. It didn't really stand out to me. I found myself not wanting to pick it up, but if Ellen and Amanda pick it, I know there's a reason. So this is one of the few, I wouldn't say it was a miss, it just wasn't my favorite from this subscription. It's a gorgeous cover and the writing is really beautiful. It just wasn't for me. And then Modern Mrs. Darcy's book club pick this month was Sipsworth. If you liked A Man Called Uva, or you like curmudgeonly people, this was a delight. This is about a woman named Helen who moves back from Australia to London or England and is kind of just preparing to die, honestly. She's older, she's in her early 80s. Her husband has passed away, her son has passed away. Very tragic circumstances. And she's just kind of biding her time. She finds a mouse on the street and takes it in. And then this kind of becomes her whole like purpose for living. It gives her a purpose. She has to nurse Sipsworth back to health. The people she interacts with as she's trying to bring this little mouse back to health, like kind of just brings community back into her life, kind of gives her purpose again, and like makes her a human. It was lovely, so good, a very quick audiobook. I was very pleasantly surprised. I gave that 4 stars. All right, and then the final book that I read this month was Graceless Heart. This is the Spellbound History series by Isabel Ibanez, and I really like her. I will read anything she writes. She just works for me because she mixes like history with light fantasy in a way that I think is just special. This takes place in Rome and in Florence during the rise of the Medicis. The main character, Ravenna, I think is her name. Yeah, Ravenna. Ravenna is a sculptress and she has some magic powers, but they're kind of scary. So she gets looped into this competition in which she needs to sculpt something for a family that is immortal that lives in Florence and is like supported by the Medicis at this time in history. So there's like a real world events are going on in the background, but the Medicis, Florence, and the Pope are all there's like combat. There's some church history in there. I have a history degree, so my focus was on medieval history, particularly women in Italy and the medieval ages, and kind of some intersections with the Pope and Catholic history, because I mean, Catholic history dictated a lot of history in this area. So I really appreciated that as the backdrop. And then this just had that fun, like magical kind of real, not like crazy fantasy where you're just world building galore. Again, I think that this is a very entry-level fantasy novel, but she gets chosen, her sculpture wins, and then she gets pulled into this immortal family's orbit, and they give her an impossible task, and she has to do that amidst like getting sucked into espionage with the Pope. Yeah. So this is going to supposedly be a series. I thought it ended pretty well, so I'm curious to see where this is going to go. It's a couple books long would be my guess. So I'm just curious to see where this would go, knowing how this ended. But I gave this 4 stars. Really, really liked it. Didn't want to put it down. Those are all the books I read. I will say my audiobook listening has gone up. My job that I'm in, that I just started, I have quite a few tasks I can do that are mindless sometimes. So I do get a lot of audiobooks in while I do that, which is kind of nice. Just a refreshing change of pace. I listened to 4 books on audio this month. And then 5 books physical. So that's good for me because audiobooks I'm usually pretty slow at. And for me to like the audiobooks that I listen to is saying something as well, because I tend to give those lower ratings when I listen to them on audio. So maybe this is the year that changes. All in all, a really good February. And I'm already kind of excited of where March is at and excited to see how March pans out. So until the next video, everybody, bye.